So, today is the disappearance day of Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. And there is wonderful things. He is the best disciple, favorite disciple of Lord Nityananda, direct disciple of Lord Nityananda. So first we're going to sing Ye Anilo Premadana. Ye Anilo Premadana Karuna Prachu. Thank you. Kota Gela Acharya Thakur. Kamoras Varupupa Kasanatan. Thanks. Kahadasa Raghunatha Patita Pavan. Kahamora Bata Yuga Kahakaviraj. Ekakale Kota Gela Goranataras. Pasane Kutibo Mata Anale Pasibo. Goranga Gunera Nidi Kotagele Pabo. Se Sabasangira Sange Yeko Ilo Bila. Se Sangana Paya Kande Narotamada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He who brought the treasure of divine love and who was filled with compassion and mercy, where has such a personality as Srinivasa Acharya gone? Where are my Svarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Raghunath Das, the savior of the fallen? Where is my Raghunath Bhatta and Gopal Bhatta? And where is Krishna Das Kaviraj? Where did Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and enter into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all of these devotees, in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottama Das simply weeps. There is not a whole lot about there's not a whole lot about Vrindavan Das Thakur, because I listened to a class yesterday from this very wonderful devotee. It was at the Soho Temple, and his name is Dayal Moa. He's the president there. You know, I kind of research people after I listen to their classes. And the way that he spoke about Vrindavan Das Thakur, I liked it very much, because he took Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita. And then he did the verse. I don't know if you would be able to do that, though. Yeah, I just didn't think until now about it. So it's chapter 8, and here it is. Okay, chapter 8, Adilila, chapter 8, verse, we can read the one that has the purport. Chapter 8, verse 36. But in the meantime, I can read, first I'll say the Om Jnana Timirandasya, but in the meantime, I'll read other things that are introductory to that verse. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnanam Jnana Salakaya Chakshun Militam Jnana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Trapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Darati Svapadam Tikam Vanchakal Patarubhyasha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So he said that there's not a whole lot about Vrindavan Das Thakur because he was very humble. And there are quite a few devotees like that we don't hear so much, because Vrindavan Das Thakur was so intent on speaking about the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda. So he didn't want, to speak about himself a lot. So there is a little bit in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I'm going to read from verse 32 until we get to a verse when we can chant and read the purport. Okay. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, is greatly magnanimous. Unless one worships him, one can never be liberated. And then this is Krishnadas Kaviraj speaking, and he says, "Oh fools, just read Sri Chaitanya Mangal. By reading this book, you can understand all the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu." And there is a purport on that one. It's verse 33. And he says, Shri Vrindavandas Thakur Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat was originally entitled Shri Chaitanya Mangal. But when Shri Lochan Das Thakur later wrote another book named Shri Chaitanya Mangal, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur changed the name of his own book, which is now therefore known as Shri Chaitanya Bhagavat. This is actually quite nice, you know. He had already written a book. He already had a title. Later on, another devotee, Lochan Das Thakur, wrote a book with the same title. So he immediately changed the name of his book. That's so humble, you know. It's like no quarrel, no competition. I'm your servant. I'll change the name of my book. How nice is that? The life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very elaborately described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has already informed us that in his Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he has described whatever Vrindavan Das Thakur has not mentioned. That's also such nice etiquette. You know, like Krishnadas Kaviraj is honoring Vrindavan Das Thakur, saying, whatever he didn't do, I will do. And so it's such a cooperation between those devotees. That's real love of God and purity. This acceptance of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Krishnadas Kaviraj indicates his acceptance of the disciplic succession. A writer of transcendental literature never tries to surpass the previous acharyas. So the mood, I have to tell you a little bit about the birth of Vrindavan Das Thakur. I'm sorry? Closer, like this? Is that better? Okay. Okay. So, thanks. Is that better? Yeah? Okay. So, he was born from a very wonderful devotee. Her name was Narayani. Narayani was very dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In Krishna's pastimes, Narayani was the younger sister of the nurse of Krishna. And her name was, it's written right here. Okay, I'll just read it to you, then you'll know it. When Lord Krishna was a child, he was nursed by a woman named Ambika, who had a younger sister named Kilimbika. So her name was Kilimbika. During the time of Lord Chaitanya's incarnation, the same Kilimbika used to eat the remnants of food left by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So she was in Krishna's pastime, and now she is in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. That Kilimbika was Narayani, who was a niece of Srivas Thakur. Later on, actually before I tell you later on, when she was 4 years old, Lord Chaitanya really loved her. And he told her one day, Narayani, chant and dance in mad love for Krishna. So that little 4-year-old, Narayani, started singing and dancing, and she actually fainted in complete trance in love of Krishna. And Lord Chaitanya was always giving her his remnants. So this is a very special soul. So later on, when she grew up and married, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur was born from her womb. A devotee of Lord Shri Krishna is celebrated in terms of devotional service rendered to the Lord. Thus we know Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur as the son of Narayani. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur notes in this connection that there is no reference to his paternal ancestry because there is no need to understand it. Actually, from what I read also is that her father wasn't there, so I don't know if he passed, I don't know what happened, but she stayed, some brahmana gave her shelter and took care of her and took care of her child when Vrindavan Das Thakur grew up. So they were quite poor and austere. And Vrindavan Das Thakur was about 4 years old when Lord Chaitanya took sannyas. And then he was about 20 years old when Lord Chaitanya passed away. So he didn't, he knew the early pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he got that from the diary of Murari Gupta and Swarup Damodar, and from his mother. That's where he learned the early pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. But he knew a lot about Lord Nityananda because Lord Chaitanya stayed on the planet only 48 years, and Lord Nityananda, he stayed on the planet 66 years. So Vrindavan Das Thakur became the direct disciple of Lord Nityananda. And there is one book that I used to read a lot, that book. Actually, you know, we had a whole different plan for the class. We were supposed to sing that beautiful song about Lord Nityananda. And I'm not able to do it. And Rudrani was supposed to do it. But she didn't sleep. And when I heard that, it reminded me that when I used to travel a lot, I used to have the whole Chaitanya Bhagavat on an MP3 player. And for many, many years, I couldn't sleep much. I go in and out of sleep. So I would be listening all night to the Chaitanya Bhagavat. So today, when I had the opportunity to read about, to speak about Vrindavan Das Thakur, I was very happy. Because Chaitanya Bhagavat is very, very beautiful. I just have this is just, I used to have the whole thing, but this is just smaller version of the main stories. It's by Purna Prajna Prabhu. And it is so sweet. It's so endearing. And then there is another book that I used to read a whole lot. It's the Sri Nityananda Charitamrita by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. And there he speaks about the pastimes of Lord Nityananda. And it was inspiring because, I went on Sankirtan all day. And the mood of Lord Nityananda, because of the order of Lord Chaitanya, is go from door to door and get people to chant and engage in Krishna's service. So it's very inspiring. Now, are you going to put that verse? You can. I'm sorry? Oh, okay. So I'll just chant it. Okay. So then I'll keep reading some, and then I'll just chant it. This is, okay. So verse 34. Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kahe Veda Vyas Chaitanya Lila Ra Vyas Vrindavandas. As Vyasadeva has compiled all the pastimes of Lord Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam, Thakur Vrindavan Das has depicted the pastime of Lord Chaitanya. Thakur Vrindavan Das has composed Sri Chaitanya Mangal. Hearing this book annihilates all misfortune. So, this is the important purport. Chaitanya Nitara Yate Janiye Mahima Yate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhante Rasima. By reading Sri Chaitanya Mangal, it was still called Chaitanya Mangal at that time, one can understand all the glories and truths of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and come to the ultimate conclusion of devotional service to Lord Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada wrote a very interesting purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the authoritative reference book from which we understand devotional service. But because it is very elaborate, few men can understand its purport. Srimad Bhagavatam is the original commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, which is called Nyaya Prasthana. It was written to enable one to understand the absolute truth through infallible logic and argument, and therefore its natural commentary, Srimad Bhagavatam, is extremely elaborate. Professional reciters have created the impression that Srimad Bhagavatam deals only with Krishna Rasa Lila. Although Krishna Rasa Lila is described only in chapter 29 through 33 of the 10th canto. They have in this way presented Krishna to the Western world as a great woman hunter. And therefore, we sometimes have to deal with such misconception in preaching. Another difficulty in understanding Srimad Bhagavatam is that the professional reciters have introduced Bhagavat Saptaha, or 7-day readings of the Bhagavatam. They want to finish Srimad Bhagavatam in a week, although it is so sublime that even one verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, if properly explained, cannot be completed in 3 months. Under these circumstances, it is a great aid for the common man to read Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Chaitanya Bhagavat, for thus he can actually understand devotional service. Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, and Nityananda. Srila Rupa Goswami had says, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Arer Bhaktir Utpatayaiva Kalpati. Devotional service to the Lord that ignores the authoritative Vedic literature, the Upanishads, Puranas, Narada Pancharatra, etc., is simply an unnecessary disturbance in society. Due to misunderstanding, Srimad Bhagavatam, people are misled regarding the science of Krishna. However, by reading Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur book, one can very easily understand this science. You know, it's very important to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. I mean, I still remember a class, I think I said that in class a few times already, but when I was in Mayapur for the first time in 1975, Srila Prabhupada gave a class about that. And it really entered my heart. I took it in notes at that time. But he says, you know, if you want the mercy of Krishna, then you have to have, I can't remember the exact, I have to go back, but I'll tell you the gist of it. If you want the mercy of Krishna, you have to have the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. And you have to have the mercy, get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, you have to have the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And to have the mercy of Lord Nityananda, you have to have the mercy of the 6 Goswamis and the whole disciplic succession and the spiritual master. So by going in a humble way, step by step, then we get the real diamond, the real love of God. He was speaking yesterday when I was listening to that class. That devotee was explaining that when he was in Vrindavan, he saw himself, said there is quite a bit of it. Devotees, they want to do Radha Bhava right away. And they put some chilies in their nose. And it was happening even during Srila Prabhupada's time. He said they put chilies in their nose so that they will cry. And they come and they just act like they are in trance, in ecstasy, in separation from Krishna. And they lay down on the ground. And Srila Prabhupada, you know, explained this is not the process. The process is to go through the mercy. And the mercy, oh yeah, and the main thing that Srila Prabhupada said, if you want the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, then you have to go to all the Jagai and Madai. And that's everybody. I mean, in this, I was on Sankirtan on Sunday, and it was like, I was going to different restaurants, and it's like they were engaging in one sinful activity after another. There was a nice variety of it. And it's very, it's quite intense. I mean, Kali is, upping his game. And for us to try to bring Lord Chaitanya Nityananda's mercy, by Harinam or by book distribution or by, giving the name of Lord Chaitanya Nityananda and engaging them in some way, it is very, very important. This is the mood. This is the mood of Vrindavan Das Thakur. That's the mood of Lord Nityananda. So, I will read a little more about, okay, I think I skipped a verse. Did I skip? Did I skip 36? No, I skipped, which one I skipped? I read 33. And 34 didn't have, 35. 36, I just read it. 32 at the purport. Okay, I'll read it. But it wasn't, the reason is because it wasn't speaking about Vrindavan Das Thakur. That's why. Okay. So I'll go a little further speaking about Vrindavan Das Thakur. Okay, 37. Bhagavati yata bhakti siddhante rasara Likya Chena Ina Jani Kariya Udara. In Sri Chaitanya Mangal, in parenthesis, later known as Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has given the conclusion and essence of devotional service by quoting the authoritative statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. Chaitanya Mangal Sune Yadi Pashandi Yavana Seha Maha Vaishnava Haya Tatakshana. If even a great atheist hears Sri Chaitanya Mangal, he immediately becomes a great devotee. Manushira Chite Nare Aiche Granta Danya Vrindavana Das Mukhe Vakta Sri Chaitanya. The subject matter of this book is so sublime that it appears that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally spoken through the writings of Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur. Purport. Srila Sanatan Goswami has written in his Hari Bhakti Vilas, A Vaishnava Mukho Girnam Putam Hari Katam Ritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochistam Yatapaya. One should not hear anything about Krishna from a non-Vaishnav. Milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. Similarly, talks about Krishna given by a non-Vaishnav are also poisonous. Transcendental literature that strictly follow the Vedic principles and the conclusion of the Puranas and Pancharatrika Vidi can be written only by a pure devotee. It is not possible for a common man to write books on bhakti, for his writings will not be effective. He may be a very great scholar and may be expert in presenting literature in flowery language, but this is not at all helpful in understanding transcendental literature. Even if transcendental literature is written in faulty language, it is acceptable if it is written by a devotee. Whereas so-called transcendental literature written by a mundane scholar, even if it is a very highly polished literary presentation, cannot be accepted. The secret in a devotee's writing is that when he writes about the pastimes of the Lord helps him. He does not write alone. That's sweet, isn't it? As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Dadami buddhi yogam tam yemanamam upayantiti. Since a devotee writes in service to the Lord from within gives him so much intelligence that he sits down near the Lord and goes on writing books. Srila Prabhupada is speaking from realization because that's the way his books were written, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami confirms that what Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote was actually spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he simply repeated it. The same holds true for Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Okay, I want to say something about that, because although Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat is a wonderful, very, very soothing to the heart book, but Prabhupada didn't bring, he tells us to read Chaitanya Bhagavat, but what he brought us was Chaitanya Charitamrita. And the reason is that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have the preaching pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And this movement that Srila Prabhupada started, it was not just for relishing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, or Krishna or Lord Chaitanya at home and do deity worship and be comfortable. It was a preaching movement in which, Srila Prabhupada has shown us the example of putting himself in so much discomfort at an advanced age, out of compassion for the fallen condition and the suffering conditions of humanity. And not just of humanity, but of the whole planet, the animals. It's him. It's because of Srila Prabhupada that so many people now, there is this big vegan movement that didn't exist before Srila Prabhupada. It was very, very rare that somebody was vegetarian. But because of Srila Prabhupada's preaching, then he had compassion on the humans, compassion on the animals, compassion on the planet. But that took a lot of austerity and a lot of sacrifice. So that's why he brought the Lord Chaitanya Charitamrita, because Lord Chaitanya preached all, when he did the tour of South India, he preached to so many people. And that's very, very instructive, because he spoke to Ramananda Roy, he spoke to, there is some encounter with the Muslims. There is, he gave us like a framework on when we are confronted with this particular mentality. He spoke with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and he engaged Lord Nityananda to go and preach everywhere. So he's giving us, Lord Chaitanya came to show us what it is to be a devotee. So he showed us how to, relate with other souls and help them to come closer to Krishna. So that's why. Okay, so Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wrote Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in his old age, in an invalid condition, but it is such a sublime literature that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Goswami Maharaj used to say, the time will come when the people of the world will learn Bengali to read Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Prabhupada is saying, we are trying to present Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in English and do not know how successful it will be. But if one reads the original Chaitanya Charitamrita in Bengali, he will relish increasing ecstasy in devotional service. That reminds me of I was in Seattle airport, and at that time we were distributing a lot of books. But I was a silent book distributor because it was really hard for me to. But I had a very strong meditation. When I was at the, the baggage claim. And businessmen were coming through all the time. And they were not so easy, So I had this meditation of, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that picture of, I believe it's Sanatan Goswami with a straw in his mouth when he offers obeisances to Lord Chaitanya, and he says, I don't know who I am. Please teach me, who I really am, and like that. And I projected that in my meditation. I was seeing this businessman offering obeisance, a few feet away, offering obeisances to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with straw in his mouth. It had some effect, because by the time I approached the person, we had a connection. It's Krishna did it, Lord Chaitanya did it. Prabhupada empowered. But it did. I mean, we were distributing Chaitanya Charitamrita in those days, and Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's what it reminded me of, the potency of Lord Chaitanya. Vrindavana das padi koti namaskara, aiche granta kari teno tarila samsara. I offer millions of obeisances unto the lotus feet of Vrindavan Das Thakur. No one else could write such a wonderful book for the deliverance of all fallen souls. And then I already read that. Oh, I'll read it again. Narayani Chaitanyera Uchista Bhajana Tanra Garbe Janmila Shridasa Vrindavana. Narayani eternally eats the remnants of the food of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur was born of her womb. And then I did already read that purport. So I'm going to go to the next one. Tanra ki adbhuta Chaitanya Charitra Varnana Yahara Shravani Sudha Kailash Tribhuvana. What a wonderful description he has given of the pastime of Lord Chaitanya. Anyone in the three worlds who hears it is purified. So, there's a little more about Vrindavan Das Thakur. Ataiva Bhajaloka Chaitanya Nityananda Kandibe Samsara Dukkha Pabe Premananda. I fervently appeal to everyone to adopt the method of devotional service given by Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, and thus be freed from the miseries of material existence and ultimately achieve the loving service of the Lord. Vrindavan Das Kaila Chaitanya Mangal Tahati Chaitanya Lila Varnila Sakala. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has written Sri Chaitanya Mangal and therefore describe in all respects the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Sutra. There is more. I'm going. Sutra Kari. But before I do that, before the end of the class, I want to say something. You know, I was talking about book distribution. I mean, we still go on book distribution. There is devotees that are going, I think, every month. And the family that I was with in High Point, I think it's so wonderful. Every Saturday, they go to Indian neighborhood because the devotee is in an Indian body. And they, you know, to distribute a set of Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll get a lot better reception in an Indian neighborhood than in an American. Americans will take Bhagavad Gita. Few Americans will take the Srimad Bhagavatam set, but that's rare. So anyway, he goes with his whole family, and every week on Saturday, and the children love it. He brings some prasadam, I make sweets for it, and he distributes 1 or 2 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam. He only goes, last week he only went to 5 houses, and one of the houses already had a set of Srimad Bhagavatam. And then he went to Winston-Salem. And he just speaks about Srimad Bhagavatam and the importance of it, and they take it. So whatever we can do, for me, you know, it's like, he told me that I inspired him, but actually I feel like the little sparrow, and he is like Garuda, because he's so much more capable than I'll ever be. But I still go, so whatever capacity we have, even if it's small, Krishna appreciates it, just like Lord Ram appreciated the spider. Okay. Sutra Kari, Sabalila Karila Krantana, Pachi Vishtariya Tahara Kaila Vishvarana. He first summarized all the pastimes of the Lord and later described them vividly in detail. Chaitanya Chandrira Lila Ananta Apara Varnite Granta Hahila Vishtara. The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are unlimited and unfathomable. Therefore, in describing all those pastimes, the book became voluminous. Vishtaradi Kiya Kichu Sankocha Haila Mana Sutradita Kona Lilana Kaila Varnana. He saw them to be so extensive that he later felt that that some had not been properly described. Nityananda Lila Varnaneha Hila Avesha Chaitanyera Shesha Lila Rahila Avashesha. He ecstatically described the pastimes of Lord Nityananda, but the later pastime of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remain untold. Sai Shaba Lilara Sunite Vishva Viva Rana Vrindavana Vasi Bhaktera Utkantita Mana. The devotees of Vrindavan were all very anxious to hear those pastimes. So then he speaks about Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think we're done with, we're done. So one thing that he said that was really nice is that the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are like jewels, and Lord Nityananda is distributing love of God and distributing the holy name and bringing under the order of Lord Nityananda, under the order of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Sheshanag is always praising unlimitedly the qualities, pastimes of Krishna. In the same way, Lord Nityananda is praising the holy name and the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, facilitating the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, because he is Balaram, Sheshanag, same personality who is serving in that way. And we are his little tiny servants. And if there is any comments, or if I forgot probably a lot of things. But if you have any question or comments, or that's it. I try. There's the mercy of. If you want to hear a good one, go to. His name is Dayal Mora. That means Dayal means kindness, mercy. Mora means I checked it out. It means morality, the source. Like doing the right thing. So that's. But he explained also about Shruti and Smriti. And that was touched on in the purport that I forgot to speak about. Shruti, Srimad Bhagavatam is Shruti because it's given by the ear. And the impersonalists accept only Smriti. And they are missing a lot. They are missing, because Bhagavad Gita is Shruti. Srimad Bhagavatam is Shruti. And that's where the Krishna's, the goal of life, pure love of God, is situated in those literature. So, Smriti is a philosophical discussion, dry. Vedanta Sutra, a lot of logic, and what is remembered and it's written. That's why Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very expert in Vedanta Sutra. But, Lord Chaitanya, so it's not really where it's at. There is something better. Yes, Drishta Prabhu is saying Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya got real Shruti, and that's the truth. Okay. All glories to Shivan Vrindavan Das Thakur, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to the whole disciplic succession, all glories to book distribution, and to the holy name chanting Harinam. Haribo. Hare Krishna.
Adilila?
Yeah, Adilila, chapter 8. That's Chaitanya Bhagavan. And that's Nityananda Charitamrita. Really good.
No, I have that, but I don't know. I get certain things that may not be bona fide. I don't know. I got it. I read it. I loved it.
Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Aravindanalayataptam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Tiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jalam Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham.
Page 57. Parama Karuna Poundwi Jana Nitai Karuna Hai Parama Karuna Poundwi Jana Nitai Gora Chandra Parama Karuna Poundwi Jana Nitai Gora Chandra Saba Avatara Saro Shiromane Kevalananda Kanda Saba Avatara Saro Shiromane Kevalananda Kanda Bajo Bajo Bai Chaitanya Nitai Surida Vishwasa Kori Bajo Bajo Bai Chaitanya Nitai Surida Vishwasa Kori Vishayacharya Serase Majia Mukke Bolo Hari Hari Vishayacharya Serase Majia Mukke Bolo Hari Hari Deko Ore Bai Tribhuvane Nai Hemana Dayala Datta Deko Ore Bai Tribhuvane Nai Emana Dayala Datta Pashupake Jure Pashana Vidare Shuni Jaro Gunagata Pashupake Jure Pashana Vidare Shuni Jaro Gunagata Samsare Majia Rohili Puriya Sepade no Hilawasha Samsare Majia Rohili Puriya Sepade no Hilawasha Apanakarama Bunjay Shama Koye Lochana Dasun Apanakarama Bunjay Shamana Koye Lochana Dasun Apanakarama Bunjay Shamana Koye Lochana Dasa Apanakarama Bunjay Shamana Koye Lochana Dasa Parama Karuna Paundri Jana Nitai Gorachandra Parama Karuna Paundri Jana Nitai Gorachandra Sabavatara Saro Shiro Mane Kevala Ananda Kanda Saba Avatara Saro Shiro Mane Kevala Nanda Kanda Jaya Gornitai 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 Haribo 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 Nitai Gor Haribo Nitai Gor Haribo 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 Nitai Gor Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radha Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Radhe Jaya Nanda Radha Golokananda Radha Joya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Shri Radhe Jaya Radhe Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gaura Nitai ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Goloka Nanda ki jai. Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. The two lords, Lord Nitai, the two lords, Nitai Gaurachandra, Lord Nitai and Lord Chaitanya, are very merciful. They're all incarnations, and their specific significance is that by rescuing their way of self-realization is simply joyful, for they introduce chanting and dancing. My dear brother, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If one gives up sense gratification to be Krishna conscious by this process, one is sure to reach the desired goal. One simply has to chant, Hare Krishna Hare, without any sense gratifying motive. My dear brother, you just try and examine this. Within the three worlds, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya or Lord Nityananda, because their merciful qualities are so great that they make even birds and beasts cry. What to speak of human beings? Even stone will melt at the chanting. My dear mind, you are entrapped in sense gratification and have no attraction for chanting Hare Krishna. Since you have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, what can I say? I can simply think of my misfortune. Srila Lochan Das Thakur ki jai. And we will be going on Harinam Sankirtan this week, but it will be on Sunday, a day later than usual because of so many activities going on. But Sunday at noon at Weaver Street Market here in Hillsborough, we will be going on Harinam Sankirtan. So we hope you can join us. Haribo. Chaitadarpana marjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapinam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Anatruvivarnam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Etadrishita Vakriba Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinada Pisuni Chena Torora Pisuhishuna Amani Namana Dana Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavadad Bhaktir Hoita Kitwaye. Nice. Iyana Chanunat Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kribayata Babada Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gadgarudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vabhukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishyava Padamratam Banastumam Adarshanam Marmahata Karotuva Yatatatava Vidadatulam Patomat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. And it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. Oh, my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh, my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw on the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. Oh, my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh, Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he's always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. Thank you, Mother Jadharani, for dressing the deities so beautifully today. It's always nice to see the deities every day being taken care of by our wonderful pujaris. And thank you to all the kitchen help and the cooks who are always pleasing Sri Sri Radha Golokananda with their nice preparations. Haribo.